Hey, Commanders fans! Listen up, because we have some very important information coming your way, and you need to know everything. Here on the channel, you'll find all the news about our team, with breaking news and everything a true Commanders fan needs to know. So, first of all, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because here you get everything firsthand and are never out of date. Oh, and leave your like right now to strengthen this incredible community and show that the Commanders fans are always present. Without further ado, hold on tight because today's news is unmissable. Now, let's get straight to the point. The expectation is that the Commanders will sign a player with 42 touchdowns to bolster their offense. The Washington Commanders, with only one pick in the draft, could transform their offense. Pro Football Focus projected that the franchise would select Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love with the 7th overall pick in this spring's draft. With such a high pick, one would expect the Commanders to select a position of greater need, such as edge rusher, wide receiver, or defensive back. However, PFF believes that a talent like Love may be too good to pass up. A top-tier defender would be a strong option for the Commanders, and they would likely rush to select Ruben Bain Jr. or David Bailey. However, adding elite talent would be a good idea if either is available. Love, who has earned overall grades above 90.0 on the PFF in each of the last 2 seasons, could team up with Jayden Daniels to give the Commanders their version of the Baltimore Ravens running game, which features Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. With the expected absence of veteran Von Miller, the team needs reinforcements at the edge rusher position. Similarly, Deebo Samuel is expected to leave Washington, D.C. to play for another team. As a result, the Commanders could choose one of the elite receivers available. With the 7th pick in the draft, they would have a wide selection. Presumably, under pressure after a 5-12 season, Coach Dan Quinn could choose a player who would help him immediately while also addressing a weakness in the team. However, if Love remains available, the Commanders could not only strengthen a team weakness, but also further prioritize the running game. In the last 28 games, Love has accumulated consecutive seasons with over 1,000 yards and scored 40 touchdowns in that period. Notre Dame product presents franchise return ability. Washington hasn't had a running back with over 1,000 yards since Antonio Gibson in 2021. Since then, the strategy of rotating running backs has dominated the offensive game plan. However, Love offers the possibility of a return. First, he is blessed with a decent physique, 6'3", 220 pounds. He can run between tackles with enough momentum and power to break tackles and gain yards.
Washington Commanders point to best destination for former first-round pick valued at $52 million. The Washington Commanders urgently need a solution at the edge rusher position in 2026 after having one of the worst defenses in the NFL in 2025, a defense that lacked any consistent and perceptible threat in pressuring the opposing quarterback. The answer to all their problems may come from a rival in the NFC East Division, defensive lineman Jaelan Phillips, a free agent with the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles made a smart move by trading Phillips to the Miami Dolphins just before the NFL trade deadline, and he ended up being the missing piece in a defense that became elite in the final stretch of the season. Although the Eagles understood that Phillips could only be a high-profile addition for the final stretch of the season, Phillips also became an attractive option in the free agent market, where Spotrac predicts his market value is in the range of a 3-year, $52 million contract. Phillips' numbers could be much higher. There's no doubt that this value could increase much more in the coming month before the start of free agency, reaching $80 million. And PFF considered the Commanders the best destination for Phillips in 2026. After missing the opportunity to bolster their edge rusher unit last offseason, the Commanders paid the price in 2025, ranking among the worst defenses in the NFL, 53.7, 27th position, wrote Mason Cameron of PFF. A season-ending knee injury for Dorrance Armstrong limited rotation, resulting in the Commanders' 23rd worst pass rush success rate. Now, with their primary pressure generators, Von Miller and Jacob Martin, about to enter free agency, this seems like a good time to bolster the position. While injuries have limited his playing time in previous seasons, Phillips showcased his talent as a pass rusher in 2025. He didn't rack up massive sack production, but he did record the 7th highest pass rush success rate of 19.1% among qualified edge rushers, while ranking in the 85th percentile in PFF pass rush ratings in real-life passing situations. Phillips is entering the prime of his career and has enormous potential, but he also has a fairly extensive injury history, which makes signing the 5-year veteran to a long-term contract a risky proposition. The franchise tag designed for defensive ends isn't cheap, $26.6 million. The Eagles also have little cap space, with $10.4 million available. But the Philadelphia team also doesn't have much depth at the edge rusher position, and losing Phillips would be a major blow, so the franchise tag could be a possibility.
A player who received a $12 million cut from the Steelers could attract interest from the Giants, Commanders, and Chiefs. When it comes to potential candidates to be cut by the Pittsburgh Steelers, tight end Jonnu Smith is at the top of the list. The Steelers acquired Smith in a trade with the Miami Dolphins last offseason, and Pittsburgh signed him to a 1-year, $12 million contract extension. The signing proved to be a failure, as Smith was underutilized on offense and didn't do much when given opportunities. The signing never made much sense, given that the Steelers already had good players at the tight end position, such as Darnell Washington and Pat Freiermuth. Looking ahead to the next offseason, Mike DeFabo of The Athletic agrees that Smith is the Steelers player most likely to be released. Smith could be an effective weapon in an offense where he can play a higher percentage of plays, said DeFabo. But if the Steelers can't find a trade partner, it makes sense to waive him and save $7 million of his $10.9 million salary cap impact. Finding a trade partner might be difficult due to Smith's salary, but the Steelers could make things easier for themselves by taking on some of that value. That said, we believe Smith will ultimately be waived. When he's at his best and in the right offense, Smith can be an explosive and creative player who can be used in a variety of ways. We saw this during his only season in Miami, when Smith gained 884 yards on 88 receptions, scoring 2 touchdowns and adding 9 rushes for 70 yards and another touchdown, earning him a Pro Bowl selection. 3 teams that could be interested in Smith are the New York Giants, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Washington Commanders. The Giants have a promising young tight end, Theo Johnson, but there's still uncertainty about him after 2 seasons in the NFL. New York could benefit from signing a veteran like Smith, who could also bolster the passing game, something the Giants need. The Commanders' uncertainty at the tight end position stems from Zach Ertz, who suffered an ACL tear in 2025 and will soon be a free agent. At 35 years old, it's not unreasonable to believe Ertz might retire. Kansas City's interest in Smith will depend on what happens with Travis Kelce, who may also retire. If Kelce leaves, the Chiefs will have a huge gap to fill in their passing attack, and Smith could help fill that need. And if there's any coach capable of getting the most out of Smith, that coach is Andy Reid. In terms of free agency compensation, Smith shouldn't demand much, considering he's coming off a disappointing season. We could see him signing a 1- or 2-year contract that pays him between $5 and $6 million annually.